Hello, Tanya. Yeah, put on a shirt.
You look so smart.
Trouble is, it hasn't been ironed though, because we don't have a maid.
Listen, I am shamefully not ironing anything, even my bedding. Just can't be bothered.
Yeah.
I think I need a change of scene.
Hello, Ken.
Hi. Hi, Cindy.
How are you?
Yeah, fine. How do I get a background?
Oh, I'll put this one on for Ken. Hang on. It's 3 o'clock. Oh. Let's put this on for Ken momentarily. Hold on.
I don't see anything.
Wait.
That one, Dancing Girls. No, then you've got the Dancing Girls.
Oh dear.
Not quite Cleopatra, but there you go. We have to find that photo. Oh, hang on.
Yeah.
I can't expect the receptionist to answer this. I'll do.
Ken, in the bottom left hand, you know, next to the camera,
Yeah.
there's a little up arrow. If you click there, it says change virtual background. So you can choose from those, or you can add your own pictures.
I don't have. Oh, next to the camera. Let me have a look. Oh yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah. It's quite cool.
I've only got 3 here.
You should be
No,
able to
you only
add
come with a few.
add
You've got to,
anything.
you can go select more and add photos.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
Oh dear, that doesn't work very well, does it? I'm out in space.
And the nice thing is that with, oh no, I can see you in the cross.
Oh, goodness gracious me.
Yeah, you need a solid color background for it to work, like a green screen or something.
No, mine's not a solid background.
Neither's mine.
What do you got behind you? Because I got books and stuff behind me. It doesn't like that.
Oh, I
No,
see.
I've got a window. My blinds are closed because normally the light and all of that, but it shouldn't matter. And the nice thing about this is if somebody walks behind you,
you can't see them. Yeah,
you can't.
No doubt you saw Pat bringing me cups of coffee during the previous meeting.
Well, my poor son has been getting up in the morning and waiting for coffee because he doesn't want to walk past the camera while I'm on meetings.
Hey.
So he stands on the other side of the kitchen counter to make his coffee and his toast.
Here. Oh, it says I have a green. Okay, your computer doesn't meet.
You have a green background.
Okay. Oh, I can do a mirror image. I'm backwards now.
You should find
this, which Tony will give you the introduction to, but it's all about just relationships at this point, because I think that's going to get us through personally and professionally. And it is that, and I think that we've had, from a country point of view, we've had such a tough run up to this with all the load shedding. I know that there are a number of companies that were really on the brink because of the load shedding. And now you add this on top of it, and it creates a very difficult base on which to either build or try to stay static.
Good news is there hasn't been load shedding.
No, touch wood. Touch wood.
It's not jinx.
No, I think that would just send us all over the edge.
Yeah.
So we've got 2 new people. So Simpue, have you managed to get your audio connected? Can you hear us now? I think you're on mute. There you go.
Minute. Thank you.
Hello, welcome. And we've got Bernice as well, who's joined us.
Okay. Thank you.
Hi, we'll do a quick round of introductions just now. I think we'll give, what should we do? Give another couple of minutes. What time is it? Lockdown time.
7 after 3.
Okay. So we'll kick off at 3:10 and we'll give 3 more minutes for the stragglers.
Okay, I'll be back.
I wonder where everybody is.
They got the reminders.
Yeah.
How many people did you have respond?
We had a small group. It's about 13 or 14. But I mean, this is the first time we're doing it, and this is a kickstart. Okay.
We need some nice soothing music playing in the background.
We have to figure out how that works. Like when you put on hold on a telephone call and it plays that music to you, we'll have to figure out how it works.
We'll have to
Just
do
so we
that,
can do that.
the happy song from our switchboard or something.
Yeah.
Hello, Brian. It's Jenny. How are you?
Hi, Jenny. Hi. Well, in yourself?
Very good. Thank you. All things considered. Welcome.
Sorry,
Thank
I'm so
you for
early.
joining us.
The Zoom meetings get a little bit hectic. Huh?
Yeah.
They do.
Oh,
We're finding our way around them.
yeah, I tell you, this is a bit of old dog's new tricks. I sit on probably 3 or 4 a day. It's quite hectic.
And no walking in between. That's the challenge.
No, exactly what we were saying on one of the Zooms the other day. Yeah, it's working from home is very lekker. You know, I thought by now I'd at least worked on a suntan, but that also doesn't happen. But the fact is, you sit behind your laptop. You know, at work, you at least walk around, going to meetings, going to workshops, seeing what happens. And you're at home, you don't.
Yep, it's
Yeah.
true.
This much is true. Okay. Should we start?
Why not?
Shoot.
We'll start with the intros anyway.
Okay. So how are you as a supply chain professional managing during COVID-19? Community Connect is a new idea. It's part of our toolkit. And the idea is just to bring people together to talk, support each other, share ideas, interact in a more informal environment. So relax and just feel free to chat and let's just enjoy the hour together. I think that Jenny's right. Let's take a few minutes to do an introduction. Everybody that's here. So we will start off with Ken. You're at the top of my screen there. You're on mute. There you go.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot. But I am at the top of the heap anyway, so I've been around almost the longest. Almost. Yeah, my name's Ken Titmus, been involved for over 33 years with SAPICS, instructor, consultant, very much involved in the demand-driven movement these days, as I see this as the future. And so I'm very much involved in the education and implementation of DDMRP systems at the moment, although most of my projects have been put on hold. But I still believe we can do some stuff online from home. In fact, I was thinking the other day that could probably do a whole implementation actually without actually attending the company's premises, which I'm going to try and work on. So yeah, I'm trying to keep going. And yeah, over to you, Tonya.
Okay, so Cindy's on my screen.
Oh, hi. Hi, everyone. I'm Cindy Lee Foslu. I have recently joined the SAPICS team as the support, sales support to Tonya under the business development. Very exciting new world, since I'm not a supply chain professional, but it's amazing to see how everything comes together and where everyone fits in. Challenging to work under the new normal, but we make it work, and so far I think it's worked pretty well. It's great that we can connect, how technology can allow us to connect in this way. I think it's awesome.
Thanks, Cindy.
Unmute. Hi, everybody. It's Beverly D'Souza. My title at SAPICS is Admin Manager, and I'm responsible for the most part, education, material, sales, and exam sales and membership. And the current lockdown has definitely impacted on that aspect. But the good news is there's definitely ways and means of carrying on with studying, as Ken has indicated. ASCM, who is our partner in the US, who is the holder of the certifications that we administer here in Southern Africa, have made it possible for people to still study during this time, although the pricing is not in our favor with the dollar-rand exchange rate. But yeah, in a nutshell, that's what I'm responsible for. And it's great to see some faces I know and some new faces.
Claire?
Hello everybody, my name is Claire and I am responsible for all the marketing that SAPICS does. During this time, obviously we're trying to be as innovative as possible. Like Cindy mentioned, technology I think is becoming new to all of us, so it's just about trying to make the most of it and seeing how we can use it in the best way possible. So we are very excited about these community connect sessions, just for everybody to learn who we are and yeah, just to bring the community closer.
Okay, thanks Claire. Jenny, you are next.
Hello, Karen, welcome. We're just doing an intro for everybody, so you've missed not very much, just a few of the introductions. I'm Jenny, I'm the CEO of SAPICS, and I've been involved with SAPICS for over 20 years in various ways. And this is something that we have talked about doing for years, actually, having a member community connect, get together, cup of tea or wine on a Friday afternoon or whatever, just to get to know each other and understand what people's challenges are in the supply chain profession in our country. So it's fantastic that technology has enabled us to do it relatively stress-free, cost-free, time-wise, etc., etc. And it's also, you know, for all the negatives that COVID has brought into our lives, it's also galvanized us all into action. And I think that, you know, building communities has never been more important than it is right now to keep us all sane, apart from anything else. So delighted to those of you who are giving us an hour of your time, and I hope that this is going to become a regular thing, and I hope that you're going to go away at the end of the hour having met someone new and actually taking away something of value, or at least knowing that there's somewhere you can come if you need help. And I don't mean emotionally, although we can do that too, but I mean from a supply chain skills point of view or solutions. Because we might not know the answers, but we know the people who do.
That's for sure. Elaine, you next.
Hi, it's Elaine Andrews. I'm the membership manager at SAPICS, and yeah, it's, for me, it's quite strange not seeing the members now and having that type of relationship and communication with them. But I hope this is going to bring us all closer together in a different form. And also, even if people who are not members to join this, if you know other people who would just like to join and just see what we're all about, it's a good opportunity, and for them to get to know us in a almost like on an informal platform.
Absolutely. Thanks, Elaine.
Thank you.
Brad?
Cool. Hi everyone. Yeah, Brad. I work at Ernst & Young in the supply chain operations consulting space. Been with them for 5 years, focused mainly on planning and operational excellence. I've been part of the SAPICS community for the last three years, I think it is, after completing my CSCP. Yeah, I'm keen to really just lend some of our expertise and some of our thought knowledge in this time. We've really been doing a lot of work internationally. It'll be good to bring it to some of our, businesses here in SA.
That's great. Thank you, Brad, and thanks for your support. Karen, you're next on my screen.
Hi, I am from Ackermans, so we in the clothing retail space, and yeah, my role specifically there is supply chain, strategic planning, optimization, making sure that we can support the business, and I'm also looking after the transportation to stores. So yeah, that's my background.
Okay, thank you for joining us. Brian is a long time member and supporter of SAPICS. It's your turn.
Thank you, Tanya. I'm pleased you said long time and not old member. Yeah, I'm the supply chain director, company Aerosuit Aviation. We design and manufacture components in high volume for the likes of Boeing and Airbus. So we ship parts all over the world, and our customers are all international. The experience we're going through at the moment, I think, is probably the biggest challenge that the worldwide aerospace industry has experienced, and Aerosuit's certainly feeling the brunt of it. So yeah, between sitting at home because of a virus locally and sitting at home because customers are pretty much shutting up shop, you know, with Boeing suspending production now for more than 3 weeks and carry on indefinitely, and Airbus doing the same. It's certainly uncertain times. But one thing that I will say is coming out of this, and Cindy first used the term or referred to technology and how it works. And what I've learned through SAPICS and doing CSCP and being privileged to work under Ken or being mentored under Ken over the years, we implemented some processes with our local and international suppliers over the years. Very much demand-driven, automated systems telling our suppliers out there what we need at a demand-driven level, at a buffer level, all automated. And with people sitting at home and the buyers not having access to their day-to-day technology, those systems are still working. And I'm seeing on a day-to-day basis where our system is advising our international supply base of reduced consumption or delayed consumption or buffers not moving, and these suppliers reacting to it, acknowledging that things have stopped, that we don't need what we did need, is really, to me, quite an amazing proof of how good, number one, systems like DDMRP are, and number two, how useful the technology is that we've used over. Sorry, I think I overstayed my welcome there, but yeah, that's me.
It wasn't me that muted you. Thank you, Brian. Simpiwe?
Hi, afternoon, everyone. I'm involved in outbound logistics in the company that I work for. But okay, for me, it was mainly just to meet the supply chain family. And I was lucky when I inquired about it, I got this invitation and I'm loving what I'm seeing so far. So I think, yeah, it's going to be good. Yeah. The moment I'm still going to observe, but yeah, so far, I mean, yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting to be amongst this community. Thank you for extending the invite.
It's our pleasure. Thank you for joining us. Beneath.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I was just on mute. I've been with SAPICS now for, I think it was 2 or 3 years that our company has signed up. I'm with Diplomat Distributors. I've done my CLTD last year, so I try to do as much of the webinars as possible to maintain points. And that's also why I've joined. It's also here, also as well from the COVID and any interesting, you know, if there's anything interesting we can learn.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Vikesh.
Hi, yes, it's Vikesh. I'm from Sequential. We're a company that develops a warehouse management system. We have quite a few clients here in South Africa that use the system to operate their warehouses. And yeah, we find ourselves in an extremely difficult and challenging time. I'm the head of consulting for the company, and I do some actual consulting for some of the clients on site. And the majority of our team at the moment is working offline. So we find that in a number of our clients, especially from the IT side, they are still continuing. I wouldn't say business as usual, but at least what we find is they are getting a lot of their sort of digital projects and things that they normally, don't really get done. They are getting it done in this time, especially on the site that I'm busy with at the moment. We started from that week that the lockdown was initially initiated. I mean, we set a plan in place of a few projects that we want to get done. And really, thanks to the kind of technology we have and everybody linked up with fiber and having the ability to work from home, we're able to get quite a bit of work done in this time. So yeah, so things are still on the go in some areas, but obviously from operations itself, it's shut down, nothing's happening over there. So yeah, it's probably quite challenging for the teams that have to just sit at home and do nothing.
Yeah, I know. I can't think of anything worse. Thanks for joining us, Vikesh. I see Daniel's joined, but I don't know if he can see us or if we're going to be able to hear him. Daniel?
Hello.
There we go.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm still busy connecting and I hope to see, well, I see some of you and you might see me shortly. I'm just trying to connect. Hi, Jenny.
Muted. We'll talk amongst ourselves while Daniel gets himself.
You can do that.
There he is. Are you connected? You can hear it. Anyway, it's really interesting listening to. There he is. There he is. Hello.
Hi. Turn the blinds up or down. How is everybody doing?
Doing good. All the better for you joining us.
Ah, fantastic.
So now you have to introduce yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm work for a company called Tenova South Africa. We are a big Italian corporation that's all around the world, and I am the head of supply chain in the Africa region. And that's how I fit in. And I've been a member of this organization for some time. So I'm surprised at the amount of people that has joined in today.
Thank you, Daniel, and thank you for joining us. So I'm Tanya. I didn't do an introduction in the beginning. I'm responsible for business development at SAPICS. I have a long history with them. Very passionate about SAPICS and the profession. I'm really excited to see the people that have joined us today. And like I said, it's a very informal session to kick off with. We just want to create a little group or community. So I've put a few slides together, but the idea is that we just have some engagement and discussion. So for those that you have not seen this yet.
Goodbye. All right. Hope you guys saw. Bye. You guys.
Hi, everybody.
Tony! Can you hear us? Tony! Oh no! Tony! Jen, call him. Oh my gosh! I'm gonna text a couple pictures of that. Oh. Oh boy. What's up?
Tony, I can see you.
We can all see you.
So this is our new normal. This is how life has become for us at the moment. Working from home, working remotely or wherever we are. I think we are still learning that there is an etiquette around online meetings. So there have been lots of jokes that have been going around about working from home. And these are a few of the funny little snippets that I could find. I think parents of young children are really, really challenged. It's very difficult to juggle working, delivering at the same time as doing schoolwork and doing all those things that you need to be doing at the same time. So it's, you know, fun to be had by all. I don't know how many of you here have got small children or are struggling with that challenge. Maybe you can share some insights on that just now. So we have challenges, and I think one of the biggest things for everybody is the human interaction. I think it's something that until now we've taken for granted. Many of us travel quite far to get to the office and have complained bitterly about the traffic. But if you look at the situation we're in now, we'd like to just sit in the traffic and go and see our colleagues at work. You know, that chat at the coffee station, those informal discussions are definitely underrated. We really have taken those for granted. Balancing work and family, from the images before, you can see that this is not easy. Trying to keep the pets off the keyboard, you know, the kids are under control. It's difficult, and these are not easy times. I think one of the things is time management. I personally, it's not one of my strengths, but you find yourself running over time or staying online longer than you should do. And I think one needs to be cognizant of that. Productivity, I don't know anybody else's experience, but my productivity has definitely gone up. And I think that's because I don't have to travel. I don't have to travel to meetings. I can do them online. So there's a lot more time available for me to get things done. That's my personal experience, and I don't know, we can talk about that in a moment as to how you all feel. It does come with self-discipline. Not everybody is disciplined to work from home. You need to be motivated, and you need to be disciplined. You need to get up in the morning and you need to start the day like you would if you're going to work. Because the minute you start faltering on that, your behavior and your patterns are going to change. So that's very, very, very important. And then separating work and personal time. So the minute you've got your desk at home and you are working from home permanently, that starts to slide into your personal time. And before you know it, you've worked right through dinner time and it's 7 o'clock at night. So it's very important to set some boundaries and put things in place to keep these things organized and kind of as they should be. So if you would leave work at 5 o'clock and you get home at 6 o'clock, then stop working at 6 o'clock. You need to try and aim for that. And I think one of the very important things here for me, and I'm sure for everybody else, is mental health. And I think it's not something that's talked about enough. We are in very, very, very difficult times. And I think that the way of working, the way we've had to adapt and change to this new normal and this business unusual that we find ourselves in, the lack of human interaction, not being able to see our families and friends, it's stressful and it puts a lot of strain on people. There is not one person that can say that this has had no effect on them as yet. You would have to be absolutely without feeling for it not to impact you in some shape or form. And I think that we need to be mindful of looking out for our family, friends, colleagues, and as leaders, you need to set an example of that, of compassion and support, because I think we're all going to need it. It's tough. People don't know whether they're going to have jobs, whether they're going to be able to keep food on the table, roofs over people's heads. So these are really difficult times that we're in. But on the same token, I think for us as supply chain professionals in the supply chain profession, it's finally come to the point that people now are starting to understand supply chain management. They are starting to realize that that bottle of beer that's on the shelf did not just magically arrive there. They're understanding that there's a process and there are a number of things that need to come together in order for products, services to be delivered to the consumer. I think that is also met with some frustration. I've seen some really interesting comments on an Eyewitness News thread where a woman said, well, just go to that big big warehouse that they've got. They must just bring in more stock. If only it were that simple. So I think given the current situation, our supply chains are serving us well for now. And I think that we can be proud of that. But we are all cognizant of the fact that things will be different from here on in, and supply chains are going to have to be redesigned, remodeled, rejiggled and rejuggled, and lots of changes are going to need to happen. So that being said, I want to ask people for their thoughts, their inputs, their experiences, how they're finding it, what are their frustrations, if they wanted help, what would it be, and just get some discussion going, because this is what this platform is all about. Does anyone want to kick off with anything?
I'm happy to. I was actually going to say to Brian, I find the situation that Erisud and you are in absolutely mind-blowing just from a global perspective and also from an airline industry perspective. It's the sort of thing that one would never imagine would happen, that the airline industry would be as badly affected as it is on all levels, on a cargo level, on a passenger level, on a military level, every aspect of the airline industry has been touched by this, and you know, it's really quite an amazing thing to from a concept point of view, but so it is for everybody listening to everybody else as well. You know, just thinking about the responsibility that Karen's got in planning and strategizing. How on earth do you do that when you don't even know whether when the shops are going to be opened again, or when people are going to be able to shop again, and suddenly to be told, no, you can't buy this, but then yes, now you can do baby clothes and clothes for toddlers, and how do you do all of that? And these are the sorts of discussions that, hi Pat, these are the sorts of discussions that you know, I really want to get more into, because I think it's very easy to sit here and say, yeah, supply chain professionals are making the world go round. But really, truly, it's real. It's like, we can't just wake up and suddenly the shelves are magically stocked. But that's one element that people can grasp onto. Now we've got to bring to the public's attention all the other bits that are being just disrupted on an exponential level on every walk of life. So go from there, somebody.
Yeah, I think, this situation, the biggest challenge is nobody knows where the end is. And, in our industry, that's certainly the biggest concern. In a worldwide massive industry, Airbus has cut our production by 50%. Airbus has cut us by 60-odd%. And their recovery schedules are somewhere between the end of 21 and 22, they think. So nobody really knows. You don't know what staff to retain, what staff to leave, and that's a daily discussion with the executive of Aerosud. So the uncertainty out there, I think, is bigger than just the.
Yeah.
Also, just wanted to comment on the issue of productivity that you touched on, Tanya, saying at home and, being more productive and working longer hours. And I think we probably tend to do that at a certain level in the organization. You would certainly, just because it's in our nature to do it. I find the biggest challenge is the slowness of communicating with another party. So if there's something you want to know or something you want to do, you send a mail. So instead of shouting across the passage or walking next door, you now send a mail, and you've got to wait for that person's daily schedule to kick in before you start getting responses. So I find it extremely frustrating to try and get things done.
Yeah, that is definitely a factor. I think one of the things that we from a SAPICS point of view have implemented is a daily staff meeting. I mean, granted, we're not a massive team, so it wouldn't work for big organizations, but we have a session every day where we catch up, keep each other up to date. We talk about the things that are going on, and I think it just helps to keep us motivated and focused on things that need to be done and communicate and just pinpoint things that need to be addressed, etc., etc. So that has certainly helped us. I don't know. Are there any? I mean, has anybody else got any other pointers? I mean, Brad, you're in a. We talked about this a little bit earlier. You're in a difficult situation with fighting fires, doing a lot of damage control and trying to save companies at this stage.
Yeah, so it is quite difficult. Every company's got their unique set of issues, whether it's trying to keep production alive through continuous operations, whether it's financing, trying to find finance options to fund salaries for the next couple of months, and we've got a host of different kind of issues that we're doing. But we generally try and tackle things in a three-pronged approach. Just we talk about it in solving the now, exploring the next, and imagining the beyond. So kind of setting up different task teams for each kind of area of the horizon that we're looking at. Yeah.
I like that approach. I really like that approach.
Is that a patented brand, Brad? That imagining the beyond? I really like that.
I'm not sure, actually, to be honest.
We'll steal it and we'll give Brad full credit.
Oh, I might just get in trouble.
No, don't worry. I think it's great, and I think that really, really does encapsulate. It's imagining it, and then it's okay. So we can imagine it, and we're taking one day at a time at the moment. But then, how do we practically plan?
Yeah, and I think the key to it is that the point is that all three of these are not sequential. They actually are now events. You know, that's if you're not exploring the next now, and if you're not imagining the beyond now, when that time hits you, you're going to be hit with a completely different reality to where you were expecting to be. So just in terms of EYs, that's exactly how we've kind of structured our business approach in this time. So we've got a crisis management team that is looking about business unusual for now. How do we manage in the business unusual? We've got then Project Next, which is we're actually rolling up in July. We are rolling into our new vision. So we are looking at continuity. How do we continue to roll into our new vision, and then imagining the beyond? What is going to be the scope of change for the consulting or the professional the services industry in general coming out of this time? And it's really helped us just get a good grip on and a confidence in kind of business continuity, giving a lot of the employees just that also that mental safe haven, you know, that we're not just in crisis mode only, that we are planning to continue into the beyond.
I think, Brad, just touching on that, you've got, because you've got businesses globally, you've seen some positive results coming out of China from companies post how COVID has hit them. So as they're starting to come out of it and things are starting to normalize, whatever that is, you've had sight of what that looks like. And maybe you can give us some hope as far as that goes.
Yeah, so we're starting to see some good recoveries in China. We've actually we're doing some work with some of the fabric manufacturers who are then obviously one of the biggest benefiters of this crisis. So that was a very interesting piece of work. That was really about supply allocation and to not just in terms of best price, but just as in terms of need. So then again, we also heard a lot of rumors about China and not necessarily being completely honest around their numbers. So it's got to a point now, from what I believe, we haven't heard too much in the last week or so. It's just that there is some hesitation in the production environment. It's starting to ramp up, but it's almost stagnating a little bit again, just as they kind of manage this wobbly piece now. But yeah, the businesses are coming out as strong as ever. And I suppose China has got the luxury of being one of the biggest producers in the world, so they are in a different situation to, I think, the rest of us who have slightly smaller consumptions. But yeah, there is positive good news. A lot of the clients that we've been dealing with haven't had too many business critical or business threatening crises on their hands, which is good news, I think, just for the rest of the world, just to be like, well, the companies are coming out alive and kicking.
That is definitely good news. I think that everybody needs some. Karen, can I pick on you? You've been very quiet.
Yes, you can pick on me.
Give us some insight to how you're feeling and sort of how it's impacted on your daily job. How are you managing your situation at the moment? I mean, are you obviously working from home? How do you do that? How have you sorted out your sort of your planning and all those sort of things?
Okay, so I've actually been working from home from that week of the 16th of March. So we've started with some social distancing at the office, and I actually became ill in that week. So I stayed so I've been at home from that period onwards. So in terms of the impact on our team and our daily workings and productivity stuff, and I've shared this with a lot of people, any time in my life when things really gets hectic, I've always wished for just 2 weeks where the whole world can just go to sleep and I can just catch up. So, you know, they say, be careful what you wish for. So we've used this time wisely because we've implemented a big project in Durban the last 2 years, a big new distribution center. So we've been traveling a lot, haven't been home a lot, and a lot of strategic initiatives have been fallen behind. And we thought our director was, you know, was trying to get at us when he had a strat session in December, which actually works quite nicely now because we've got a lot of strategic initiatives and projects which we are working on. And this is the systems teams. Our systems teams are also using this time to get ahead of all the production issues, but also to finalize specs, you know, just get in front of all the activities and not play catch up anymore. So that's more from day to day what we are busy with. And I also went through all my emails, cleaned out my inbox and categorized the work. So each member of my team knows exactly what they need to do with. And we catch up, we check in daily. We've got a WhatsApp group, a Skype group, joke of the day is being shared. So we check in daily. More from how it impacted our supply chain, I think the situation was very fluid. So when the announcement was made, we had to plan to ramp down. Like, when are we going to stop distributions? When are we going to stop outflows? When is the last deliveries going to be in the stores? Do we want stock in stores? Do we want stock in the transport hubs? Do we want stock in the DC? Where do we want to stock? What are we going to do with the containers coming in? Lots of, and I mean, anybody in the imports industry would know that the news or the requirements or what we can do and what we can't move, that almost changed daily. So that was the focus area for the first, I would say, week or two from the imports team as to how do we deal with the inflows and how do we stop what's coming. And then from the merchandise perspective, obviously a lot of stock management was also happening from our side. And now we're in a point where we also operate in neighboring countries. So when they start opening up, do we switch on the supply chain? Do we not switch on the supply chain? Do we use what we've got in the network? So daily there are plans being made, but currently our focus is on the ramp up plans. And as you might have seen in the network, in the news, that Pepkor is trying to apply to open some of our stores and sell some essential products. So we are watching the outcome of that. And the thinking is not to switch on the supply chain to incur all that fixed cost. There is enough stock in stores to actually keep them trading until after the lockdown. So now our focus areas are on how do we ramp up? How do we open up after the lockdown? And how do we keep our staff safe? And what are the contingencies for if one of the employees get the virus? How do we clean the facility? Do we stop operations? You know, those type of things that the DC operational teams are working on. So yeah, pretty much those are our focus areas. And yeah, and I think the team has really used this time wisely to catch up on activities and tasks and projects and strategic stuff, which we haven't had time to get to in the last year or so.
That's no, that's great. There's a lot going on there. There's definitely a lot going on in that time.
Yes.
Okay.
I think that also, sorry, just to interrupt quickly, I just think that also speaks to really strong leadership and management. So I think that's really commendable, and it sounds incredibly well organized. I mean, I'm quite sure that there are glitches in between, but I think that from a planning and a management leadership perspective, full credit to that person or people in that team.
Yeah, I think we are a small team, and people are quite we can manage ourselves. And what was very funny at the end of February, the senior leaders actually had a what we call a cafe conversation in the office about working from home and how that would look like and how would flexible arrangements work. And I mean, within a few weeks, we actually had to implement. So I think the company did quite well there. But, you know, checking in with the team is quite valuable because they do have our ups and downs. And yeah, so, but yeah, I think that is probably the biggest thing, and keeping people focused and not too many things. Focus at one thing at a time. Focusing clears the mind, and everybody knows what they're doing. And once you've done that thing, then you move on to the next thing.
That's good. That is definitely good sound advice. Who else? Who's been very quiet here? Bernice and Simpiwe are very, very quiet there. Either of you want to weigh in with some comments?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
So I'm one of those that work from home with little kids. Usually when I take a video, so you may hear them in the background. That's why I keep myself on mute. Let me just, sorry, just a second. So yes, if you, how can I say, just from the sound, okay. Let me just, okay, so at least you can see me. I did start my video. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I can say I'm very fortunate to work for a company that does essential distribution or essential services. So we can still operate within this time. I can say I don't think it's been easy, but because a lot of our customers are sometimes closed. We also, like our drivers, especially with long distance in the beginning, so our drivers stay over at, like, for example, guest houses with long distance routes. And initially, you know, there wasn't any operational, and they had to like sleep in their truck at a customer site or something. So I can't say it has improved better, but I mean, there's been a lot of challenges. But I can say I'm still fortunate that we can operate and work. But sure, I think I'm not sure, I think there's a lot of uncertainty. And we've also done a lot of looking at strategy and what focuses can be put in place to ensure that we'll still remain operational, and what scenarios we can put in place to make sure that we stay feasible and financial viable. Yeah. But it's not been, I think there's a lot of uncertainty.
Yeah, I think that's a general consensus at the moment, and it's difficult to work in that environment and stay positive and optimistic. You know, you almost have to force yourself to have sort of positive thoughts every day and work. I think, Corin, you said about the focus, just focus on one thing at a time, and keep yourself working towards that. There are some others that have been very quiet. Daniel, you unmuted. Are you going to chat with us here?
It's unusually quiet.
I want to add on to something that Brad, I think it's Brad, referred to China earlier, and just a few comments on it. Us in my company in Turnova, we were fortunate in a way that to say that our head office is in Milan, Italy, and and knowing what happened in Italy. For us, a lot of our decision making in terms of our corporate strategy comes from Milan itself. And we learned very early in this process what the impact can be. And we were, as being the African part of the operation, were fortunate in learning and to learn very quickly and very fast what the impact of this thing can be. We run operations all around the world. We have project people and around the world, and we were used to moving equipment around. And you need an engineer in Kazakhstan or in America or in Australia, you put him on an airplane, and you fly him there. This is we spend millions in a year on flying just people around, and all of a sudden, these people were all stuck in various parts of the world. And we had to find ways to get them home. Some of them are still stuck. I still have cargo sitting at the airport, destined for places around the world for the last 3 weeks. And so we learned the hard way very quickly perhaps quicker than some. And like Karen has indicated, some of us have been on remote operation long before the lockdown because we got good advice and we had a corporate structure that could guide us in a positive direction without influencing the day-to-day operation that much. And so we were quite prepared, fortunately, in some or better than many others at the very early stage of this situation. A comment on China, as Brad referred to, is we have a number of companies we own in China, and we notice around the world with everybody watching much more TV. I can't believe how many Sky News episodes or news episodes I've watched in the last month compared to what I've done in the last year, and I guess very much the same for most of us. And we found within our structures around the world that unlike the media hype, the American thing and the Chinese reference about the World Health Organization, all this nonsense, that the people we deal with in various countries around the world, they are just the opposite in terms of the Chinese view, and they are very positive about what is happening in China at the moment, and the way that factories and operations are re-entering the normal day-to-day business. For example, we manufacture major types of industrial equipment. For example, we build furnace operations around the world, big smelter plants. We design, we build, and we manage our own supply chain in getting things done. And we depend on the Chinese manufacturing industry to support us on that. And it's not only because of cost. It has a lot to do with the whole supply chain around the world. Depending on where you build a plant, China may not always be the lowest cost. And unlike many businesses believe, or people believe, that we as businesses, we go to China because we want cheap stuff. And I think as supply chain professionals, we all know that is not true. Because if you think it's true, this lesson should be a wake-up call for many people to show them how important the Chinese industry, their ability to turn around quickly, their ability to adapt to whatever standards clients require. Not everything made in China is junk. We spend millions and millions and millions a year in China. And one of the reasons for that is we own a lot of businesses in China. And so we as Africans, and I saw an article on LinkedIn this morning of the new editor of the FTW magazine posted an article where the question in this article is, after the pandemic, will South Africa become another cap-in-hand country, to the rest of the world? And I believe the opposite. I believe that you just have to look at an industry like ours to show how people became innovative, how people became creative, how being put under this pressure, something unlike everybody could ever imagine, is that our South Africans could link in with the rest of the world, how South Africans can connect to each other, and still found ways, and I've been listening to your other speakers, how they all do it. And I've heard very little negative comments in terms of what the future holds. None of us can know what the future will hold, but let me tell you what I see around the world with people that I speak to. They are very optimistic, and they're very optimistic regarding how we as South Africans have adjusted to this pandemic. And so I'm very concerned that other influences, like the bigger role players out in the world, can easily influence African countries in terms of their view towards an industrial giant like China. And I'm not in a China defense mode here. I'm just trying to pass my view on the fact that this thing started in China doesn't make China the bad place and the enemy all of a sudden. We need to look beyond that. And for us as in the supply chain industry, we are the people that can make that view spread much easier than most of other people out there, because we are interconnected in the world. I spoke to some guys in America this morning, or their morning, and just before this this event, and in the private sector, in the supply chain sector, these guys are still importing and still landing essential products from China, and for them, it's business as usual, and the supply chain makes it business as usual.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's the world
Daniel.
turning.
Yeah. You have a very positive outlook. I think as South Africans, we are resilient, we are tough, and we will find a way out of this somehow. We're definitely going to have to change the way we do things, but there is, I do believe there's light at the end of the tunnel, but I mean, maybe I'm the eternal optimist. But you have to, at times like this, you've got to try and find a way to keep yourself positive and motivated. Anybody else?
I think I'm sorry, I just want to say in response to what Daniel's saying, which I think was wholly positive, and I think that's the big point, is that hopefully this will all make everybody look at people and countries differently. I'm of the generation where I was brought up to believe that the Americans were indestructible and that they were infallible and that we all wanted to be like the Americans. And actually, they're not quite ordinary, but everybody is ordinary. And I think that the same can be said for everybody is shuddering at the prospect of Ramaphosa going into a deal with China, etc., etc. But at the end of the day, they're also a country just trying to survive. And I think that, if anything, perhaps this whole episode will be a great leveler, and will make people work harder to succeed, or just to kind of be strong, I think, instead of being spoiled and taking stuff for granted.
Yeah, just a point from my side. I think, when you look at the way the whole of this COVID has changed the world, one sometimes thinks that, the whole world needed a sort of reset, so that everybody can reevaluate their position. It also, these last 4 or 5 weeks, or even longer than that, has actually even given the environment a chance to recover, because we're not traveling as much. There's not so much of traffic on the roads, and people are staying at home. So yeah, sometimes you do need these kind of things to just rejig people's minds as well. But also what's interesting is speaking to some of the executives and colleagues that I speak to, is that the one great thing about uncertainty is that it forces you to change the way you think. Yeah. You have to think about risks differently. You also have to take more risks, okay? And look at where you're going to go, because the thing is, you have got nowhere else to go. You've got to stay here, okay? So you have to build yourself to stay here. And that's the great thing about our people, and also about our country. I think there's a lot of resilience in the system. We've developed some good capabilities, and we've always come out at the end, with positive attitude and looking at things, differently. So I think, yeah, this is a great chance for us to change our world.
Yeah, and you're 100% right, and it's what we got to do. Yeah, and every one of my company Zooms every day with what will we do differently next time. And if we're not learning the lessons, and if we think we're going to go back and carry on the way we were beginning of April, then we've really missed a major opportunity. And Vikesh, you're right. We've got to find out.
Brian, you keep muting yourself, Brian. From my side, let me just say a few words. And I've been working from home for the last 30 years, so nothing has really changed, except that my wife is also working from home now, which is great because, as you probably noticed, she brought me a cup of coffee just now, which is. But I've always thought that when I'm working at home, I'm not actually working. I'm not earning any money, and I only felt I was really working if I'm on a plane flying somewhere and then standing in front of a group of people, giving them a course or some training. Of course, that now is changing, and I think, well, with SAPICS, we've been having some discussions that we're going to have to do a lot of online training and a lot of online courses, and this is going to be a change for some of us old instructors, some of the dinosaurs that have been around. But I love change, and I love hearing what everybody's saying here, because everybody's very positive, very interested in hearing what Brian's saying about the use of his DDMLP methodology, helping them out a little bit. And also Chad Smith was commenting the other day about how companies in America that have adopted the DDMLP, it's assisting them in some way that maybe it wouldn't have done if they'd have used traditional planning systems. So the other frustrating thing I find is that there are thousands of people sitting at home that should really be doing some education, but getting to them and finding the money, because education and training requires money. Finding the money for them to do that is a bit of a problem, but it is an opportunity. And if we can find some way of getting to them and providing them with some training and education, which is going to benefit the supply chain ultimately when we do get back to work, that would be great. So yeah, I'm very positive that we're going to come out of this great. I've always thought that Africa is the next USA, the United States of Africa. And we've got the people, we've got the minerals, we've got the space, we've got everything we need to make this continent great. And education is going to be one of those things that we need to get in there first. So yeah, I'm quite positive and looking forward to coming out of this and getting into the new normal that we've been talking about for so long. So great.
Thank you, Ken. I think it's I think it's been really refreshing to hear the positive side of this. You know, you almost expect to hear the doom and gloom, but I mean, everybody here, without exception, is positive and optimistic. Yeah, I don't know how. So in surmising or summing up this session, how did you feel about it? Do you think it's worthwhile? Would you participate in more sessions? What topics would you like to discuss? Because we want to do this weekly. Obviously, we don't expect you to join in every week. But if it's of value to you, absolutely. If you want to bring a friend or a colleague, please do so. But yeah, I mean, some comments. What are your thoughts on the session? Good, bad, ugly?
Yeah, I think it is great. It's useful to listen to perspectives from different people. And I think I like the idea of maybe let us sort of pick a theme and talk about it. Okay. That's relevant to the current situation that we find. One of the things that intrigues me is like, how is the supply chain going to switch itself on, you know, in our country when lockdown is over, because many other places are also under lockdown, and you know, how is that going to actually, how are we going to cope? Because you must remember, I think when they do tell us we can start going out again, a lot of people are going to want to go and, you know, celebrate that freedom a bit. And that's going to put strain on some systems somewhere that are currently not even functional. Yeah. So how does that switch itself on?
Yeah.
I would certainly encourage that we carry on with this.
Okay.
Especially when we get closer to getting back to normality, if you want. I think talking to each other and experiencing what we're experiencing is going to be very valuable.
Okay. I'm glad to hear.
Yeah, Tanya, I agree with everybody. Just a comment on something that Brian said earlier. He mentioned the old topic of lessons learned. And I've seen in my company, lessons learned on projects has become the pain in the ass item that you do after the project. And, yeah, what do we remember? What don't we remember? And the next project, they never read the comments of the previous project. Now, if we don't use this opportunity as lessons learned, then we're missing a major opportunity in what we do. And this is just one of the reasons why this kind of discussion is so valuable, and that it should continue if we can, because if you can share some of these things on this kind of platform, it'll be magic. And just to comment on what Vikash has said, he referred to when things are opening up again, people want to go out and celebrate. The contrary is also possible. We've seen in the last few days with our Italian counterparts in Milan that the opposite is the problem. They've opened up bookshops, similar to our stationery shops, stores for children's clothing and things like that. And people don't want to go out because the positive part of the post-pandemic hasn't been spread or distributed. That message hasn't been communicated that well out to the people of what are the benefits, how good is it for you to go out, and it's okay, and whatever the reasons are. So the opposite may also be, and we've already seen that in Italy. I mean, they must be one of the countries that had the biggest scares so far. And so all in this, there are many, many lessons to be learned.
Yeah, and I do believe that everything happens for a reason. What this reason is, I think there are many, many discussions to have. But the fact that Africa has started things much later than the rest of the world, I think, or actually that the third world economies, I think that there's an opportunity, going back to what you were saying about lessons learned. I mean, anybody who ignores anything that has happened in any of the countries that have been so badly hit is a fool. And I, for one, am very relieved that our government is taking advice from science and fact, and that the politicking, for now at least, seems to be on the back burner. And that hopefully this will continue, and that we will continue to see communication coming out of organizations like the EFF supporting the work of the ANC, and things that I think perhaps we never thought we would see. Because truly this is the time that only together can we survive.
Yep, we're all in this.
I think it's exciting. It's,
So,
as Tonya started the thing off by saying that supply chain management for the first time in living memory is actually something people are talking about, not just about procurement, but about the entire supply chain, and starting to understand. So now, from taking a very negative scenario and turning it into something positive for the profession, now's the opportunity.
Absolutely. Just on a side note, we put together as SAPICS, our mandate is to develop the profession, to look after the profession, to be all things supply chain for the profession. We've put together a supply chain management COVID-19 toolkit. The idea behind this was to gather resources and information that we felt is relevant and that may help people amidst this COVID-19. Obviously, information as we're coming out of it post-COVID is also going to be just as important. So it's on our website, it's easy to get to. If you've got any comments or suggestions, or you'd like to see anything added to the toolkit, please feel free to let us know. If there's information on a topic that you'd like to see that's not there, just give us feedback. You know, good, bad, either is good. You know, feedback is important. And then to say, I mean, I think, Daniel, you spoke a lot about if there's lessons to be learned. I think that there have been a lot of good takeaways from the discussion today. And I think that we've all learned something. And the one thing that I've learned is that we are resilient and typically a positive nation. From the people that are here today, there isn't any negativity, and that's so refreshing. I can't even tell you. So that's exciting for me. And I don't know, is there anybody else that's one thing?
It's Simpiwe's turn. It's the only person who hasn't said anything.
He hasn't.
Okay, yeah. I'm still observing this new platform to be with the supply chain professionals, but yeah, it was good. I think, yeah, even the leadership that is being shown by the country's leadership, I just wish that we can have the same kind of leadership post-corona. Then, yeah, definitely be as positive as everyone that our country would be destined for new heights.
Yeah.
If all everyone can work together as this, because they shown, I mean, look at the leadership shown by Dr. Zweli Mkhize. I mean, our government has shown stuff that we didn't know that they're capable of doing. So yeah, if they can keep that momentum going forward, that's what we need.
So as Karen said, let's be careful what we wish for, and if we wish hard enough, maybe it'll come true.
Yeah, I think I think it's Ken that was saying we are having abundance of everything, abundance of minerals, natural resources. Yeah, we just need leadership, but the leadership that has been shown a couple of weeks, I think, yeah, that's what we need.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think not just in country, but in moving through COVID-19, leadership is critical. The leaders have got to take charge and they've got to lead.
Yep.
I think the encouraging thing for me is, Tanya, is the fact that during the toughest times, we are showing not only ourselves, but our peers, how resilient we in fact are. And if I look at my kid, who is, I mean, he joins us with every meeting that we have in the morning, half asleep, yawns and wants to have a chat with everyone. But I look at him and he is our future. But what encourages me is there is light at the end of the tunnel. We don't know how long it's going to take to get there, but we're going to get there. And we just have to keep on keeping on and doing what we do and doing it to the best of our ability. And so far, I think we've done well so far. I think if we didn't have this medium to communicate with one another like this, I probably would have gone off my nut, because in the beginning I thought, oh crap, I'm going to be at home with my husband and my son and my mother all day, every day. But we're making it work, and it's worked so well. So yay to all of us, I think. Really cool.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I think in conclusion from SAPICS' side, thank you all for joining us. I hope that it was valuable. I hope that you'll join us next week. We look forward to suggestions on topics, anything you'd like to cover that's pressing for you. I think there's obviously a lot of stuff that we can put on the table, and bring your friends, colleagues, family, whoever you'd like to join, and let's keep the conversation going. I think that we all need each other now to keep motivated and focused. And as Jenny always says, together everyone achieves more, and more than ever is that statement true. Jenny, you want to say a few last words?
Muted.
Oh yeah, here we go. I thought it was a deliberate plan. No, I just want to thank thank everybody really sincerely. You know, it was not a last minute idea, but we only set the notice out recently. And I think that if we can get the momentum going and we can get more people involved to just embrace this positivity and constructive thinking, that's what I like, is that, you know, I'm certainly feeling like there are plans in place and that we're not all drowning and that we're not all panicking last minute or unnecessarily. You know, we're in good hands and that there are people who really know what they're doing, and the planners have things to plan, and it's all going to be okay. So I think that, you know, if we can learn from each other and lean on each other, it's going to be really great. And this is what SAPICS is supposed to be all about. So I think we've found our role.
Yeah, let me just also say, if SAPICS said last year was business unusual, I'm not too sure what you call this.
Yeah.
You're right. You are very right.
It's certainly not 2020 vision, that's for sure, because nobody's got that.
Yeah, well, it definitely has realigned our vision, I think.
Yeah, that's also true. That's also true.
Okay, so farewell, everybody. Enjoy what's left of the day, and we hope to see you again next week for the next discussion.
Excellent.
Tanya.
Take care.
Well,
Bye-bye.
thank you.
So much. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
It's just us four. No? Oh. Yeah, Jen, now she's gone.
You see, I'm red again.
Yeah.
Look how white I look.
You look fine. You look like an ant in the grass.
Yeah, I was thinking, I don't think this background's very great for my pale face.
I just think that the poppies are accentuating my red face. I think that went really well.
That did really well. Absolutely.
I was nervous in